Okay, I am back. I'm tired and I'm madder than hell. Okay, so here's the deal. What the hell does that say? So anyway, back to the slackline. The kids are really looking forward to it. And yes, it is going to be difficult. But you remember where the zip line was. Did I already say that I was going to put the zip line overhead? Maybe we could hang on to it. That sounds to me like a good way to dislocate your shoulder. But you're right. The biggest issue, I think, is coming off that slackline and trying to catch yourself. So you're either going to end up injuring your wrist or your clavicle or your shoulder. And so you're going to have to very quickly learn how to fall without trying to catch yourself on your arm every time. So, either falling and rolling. But the problem is you're like suddenly you're walling this like whoop, and down you go. So we'll just have to pull the slack line good and tight. So anyway, I know I will be making video. Actually, Beth and I. Oh, you're going to be here that weekend! Huzzah! Beth and I were just talking about having a dual birthday party. So that will be our 87th birthday party. Nikki, my birthday is April 30th. Hint, hint. Beth's birthday is May 3rd, and so we usually can do a birthday between the two, but I think the 30th is like a Sunday or a Monday this year, so we'd have to do it that weekend. But Dan, I think you're going to be here, so we'll do it. We're going to do a big party. We're going to have venison steaks on the grill because I froze all that venison for a special occasion. We're going to do, actually a great idea. I don't know, have you seen the small single-serving Ben & Jerry cups? They're like 3 ounces, 4 ounces, maybe 5 ounce cups. They're really cute. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a whole variety of those and put candles in them, and then everybody can come and have their own Ben & Jerry cup. So, but we're going to have a giant slackline party at the same time. We will, of course, also with each Ben & Jerry cup put a couple of Advil down inside them. We're going to have music, we're going to have slackline, we're going to have a good time. What are you doing? By the way, your retelling of the water weenie story, even though I had just told the story, your retelling of it, I was at work when I was watching this, and I was back in one of the rooms at the drive-thru in one of the offices, and I was laughing almost uncontrollably, and I was crying. I was laughing so hard. I can only imagine what the staff thought. So at least you don't laugh like that when you're watching porn, so that ruled that out. But it was just, I tell you, Dan, that no matter how many times I hear that story, I still laugh uncontrollably. So that's a good one. We're going to get a lot of mileage out of that. So, yes.
Where is your?
It's plugged into the wall on the side of the safe, right by the safe, right where I usually have my laptop.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking? It's plugged in, not plugged in, it's plugged into the power strip, which is hanging from that shelf to the right of the safe. So, this actually, yes, please. This actually brings up, Beth is actually going to go into my work and grab my power cord from my laptop, because my laptop is the only thing that plays Blu-ray, and we have 2 seasons of Downton Abbey that my mom sent us on Blu-ray. Now, I had heard talk of Downton Abbey primarily on NPR and Wait, Don't Tell Me. It sounded like one of those kind of things that maybe Nikki and people at your school would watch, because I know it's not that kind of a private school, but you know what I mean. Anyway, it's but I'm all for British production, British dramas, British melodramas. This is really almost like a soap opera, but it's so well acted. The guy who plays the head butler, and I can't remember the actor's name, but he's always been in lots of stuff. He was in Shakespeare in Love, several other things. But, oh my God, he's so good. The guy who plays, and if you haven't seen it, then maybe I'm boring you, but there's one of the actors. He actually plays Lucy Westenra's husband in a BBC production of Dracula, which was I don't know if I've talked about. Let me get out of Downton Abbey for a second and go over to Dracula. I love Dracula movies. My dad, when I was 8, I think, took me and a friend to see Nosferatu in the theaters because they were showing it for Halloween. And Nosferatu, I think I've talked about Nosferatu, and I know this is probably going to be like Slacklines and Fartlick, and you're going to say, of course we knew what Nosferatu was. Well, in case you don't, Nosferatu was a silent film with Max Schreck. Max Schreck, by the way, was the name of, oh God, what's the guy's name? He was in Lady Hawk. He gives me the creeps. But he was in one of the Batmans, the one with Catwoman. Can you pick all this up, please?
Yeah.
Anyway, his name in the Batman movie was Max Schreck, which I think is really funny. So anyway, Max Schreck plays Nosferatu, and in this German silent film back in 1930 or 32. Anyways, I've always loved Dracula movies. I watched a lot with my brother, Nicky. I don't know if you know this, but I have 2 older brothers, one of whom is my oldest brother used to do special effects makeup. So he used to do a lot of special effects makeup on me, and I watched a lot of a lot of horror movies with him growing up. Please get off the piano. That's not a chair. And so we've been, primarily Colleen and me, or Colleen and I have been watching various Dracula movies. Now, when I say Dracula movies, I don't mean vampire movies. I mean specifically movies based on the Dracula story. And by far our favorite... Honey, please don't...
It's a comedy one.
Come on, out. By far our favorite was, of the serious ones, was a BBC production that David Suchet was in. David Suchet was Hercule Poirot. He was in that series. But excellent actor, and he plays Van Helsing. But it's a completely different way of playing Van Helsing than I've ever seen it. But anyway, it was really good. And the central character is a guy who's got a sexually transmitted disease, and he wants to have Dracula render him disease-free. And obviously he ends up getting his head ripped off, but most unfortunate. But I guess better than it falling off, right? So anyway, so that's in this. Why don't you guys go somewhere else, please? Preston, go make your lunch and go brush your teeth. No, don't give me faces. Go do it. Put it back. Put it down. So it's just, oh man, it's just excellent. And so he was in Downton Abbey, or is in Downton Abbey, and in spite of the fact that, and Dan, I know you're probably similar to this, and Nikki, maybe you are too, but you have all these people talking about how great something is. It just makes you want to stay away from it. And I probably would not have sought it out. Well, maybe I would have eventually because it's British and I just love British stuff. But but my mom, like I said, my mom sent it to us, and it is it's a bit like a soap opera in that you're just, the acting is so much better. It's just, oh my gosh, it's really well done. And how did I get on this? I don't know. But right now they're exploring the themes of World War I, and the theme, it's in the time period of World War I. World War I has been going on for 2 or 3 years now, and it's exploring the issues of cowardice and honor, the desire to go to war versus the desire not to go to war, and the brutal, absolutely brutal effects that it had on the men and the women in England, and specifically, seen through this nobility this family of nobles who are realizing that their life has changed in a way that will never come back. They'll never get back to a normal again. Things have just changed so differently. Changed so much, excuse me. So anyway, it's just, oh my gosh, I really highly recommend it. The next thing is I just had a senior moment today. I'm getting old moment. I work mostly with college students, right? By the way, yesterday it was 63?
It was so
61,
nice.
63 degrees here in Winona. It was sweet. And I tell you, there are some advantages to having a coffee shop in a college town, specifically directly across the street from the college on a day when it's 63 degrees, and a college at which 60% of the student body is female. So anyway, I had this senior moment today, though. I went to the pharmacy because Marshall has a sty in his eye, of course.
Eyelid.
Well, yes, they'll know that. And so they had some meds to keep it from the infection from getting into the eye. So I went in to fill this prescription.
Actually, it was because when the sty actually bursts,
right?
They wanted to infect my
so
eye.
I'll save you the pus and stuff. But anyway, so I went, and behind the counter at the pharmacy at Target were 3 women, none of whom looked more than 22 years old. And the one that was in charge had a nose ring. And I just, it was like, aren't there any old people here that can help me? I'm not comfortable giving this prescription to a 20-year-old with a nose ring. I mean, are you even old enough to dispense medication? Really? So, I'm officially old. I admit it. I'm gonna go out and buy a convertible, and wear only my Speedo when I drive it. So that's my plan. By the way, I don't know what the rules are at camp anymore, but I am wearing my Speedo when we're out playing paddleball, Dan, this summer. So be prepared. And by the way, it's a Wiggle Speedo because it's the one you gave me. That triathlete, that Ironman Speedo. And the fabric is the kind of fabric that has stretched over time, so it's pretty funny. And what's even funnier is that I misplaced my other suit, and so I'm having to wear that now as a replacement. So, yeah. So anyway, on my last note is Galen had his first choir concert. It was the freshman and sophomore choirs. And they sang, and he's also part of the jazz choir, and it was great. They did several songs, one of which was the Nylons' "Happy Together," and it was just, and I don't know if you know this, but Galen is baritone. He's singing baritone, so he does lots of boom 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 boom. So that's mostly what he does. He doesn't really actually get to sing any words, but it's just so cool. And they had one piece called Waka Waka. But it was an African piece, and he had dance moves to it. So they were all up there dancing. It was really cool. I mean, I loved seeing up there. Neither Beth nor I were ever in choir. We don't sing at all, and it's just great to see all of our kids into music, and especially voice. Dan, I know, especially you with all of your background with singing, and your parents' background with singing, and your children singing, and Now, Nikki, I don't know if you sing, but I don't know if you're passing, if your children do that, or if you came from that, if your parents were singers or choirers or carolers as well. But I'm just thrilled, absolutely thrilled about it. So, anyway, that is all I have to say to you, Dan, unless I make a private video, in which case you'll know because it'll be private. So, until later, I am still dead.